meeting. This is Thursday, April the 8th, 4:05 p.m. Robbie, if you would, call the roll, please.
Denenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Creasy.
Present.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Here.
Commissioner Fritz.
Here.
Commissioner Waddell. Commissioner Jameson. Commissioner White.
Here.
And Chairman Bow.
Here. And Commissioners, if you would, join me in prayer. Then we'll ask Commissioner Waddell, if he would, please lead us in the pledge. Heavenly Father, Lord, once again, we come to you, giving you honor and praise, thanking you, Father, for every blessing, thanking you, Father, for saving our souls. Please forgive us of our sins, times, God, that we fail you, and we know they're many. Lord, as we gather together today to do the business of the people of the county, we pray that you be with each heart, each mind. Father, give us your wisdom, your discernment to do what's best for your people. All this we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. First item on the agenda is our cash and fund balance report. Robbie, go ahead, sir.
Okay. For the month ending March 31st, 2021, general fund restricted fund balance, $792,292. Committed funds, $2,065,498. Assigned funds are $2,029,147. Unassigned fund balance is $5,991,858, which is over the $5.5 million, requiring 2/3 votes for budget amendments. And total fund balance is $10,878,795 with cash $17,967,775. So, any questions on the fund balance, cash and fund balance? Alrighty, sales tax for the month of February. The county as a whole was up 9%. We collected $3,572,933,000. The Anderson County portion, we collected $413,424 compared to last February, which was $328,847. So sales tax is continuing to trend well, which is what we want to see, because it would make us nervous if it went down at this point. Any questions on either one of those reports?
Hear none, continue on.
Okay. First is the transfers not requiring commission approvals, numbers 0 through 17. Seeking approval as a group or individually.
Commissioner White moves to approve 0 through 17 as a group. Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion?
Is Nathan on board here?
Director Sweet, are you with us today?
Yes, sir, I am.
Go ahead, Commissioner Smallridge.
I just had a question on item 13, contracts with government agencies and other contracting services. There were a couple of significant decreases. I wonder if Nathan could just comment on the reasons for those $13,000, $15,000 decrease.
Yes, sir, I can. The contracts with governmental agencies, that is the account that we use to pay to get the Medicaid kicker funds through the state. So we pay the state a certain amount, and then we pull down the federal match for that. Based on the first two payments that we have been issued from the state of what we're to pay in, they are below what we projected. So we're paying in less to the state to pull down federal money from what we anticipated when we budgeted. The other contracted services, we had some projects that have been put on hold that brought that amount down as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions for Director Sweet?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Denenberg, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. The first question I have is regarding the number 12. Is Mr. Vickery with us?
Director Vickery, are you on with us, sir?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My question is, Mr. Vickery, what is the item here for vehicle repairs at dealership? The $3,000?
Those are certain types of repairs that we're not able to do here. We have very limited ones we do send out. And we've
Okay.
used that code for our COVID pandemics went on. We've had to send things out where we're shorthanded.
All right. And my other question is also for Director Sweet. Nathan, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Going back to the quotes that you have for the, I'm assuming these are new radio equipment.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Why was the one quotation not include installation? Is that the other quotation that is part of this? Because I'm sorry, I don't speak whatever all of these comments are as far as descriptions on items.
Yeah, so part of that is because of the different kind of units that we have could change the installation amount. So we did not get that included in the price up front for the vehicle repeaters until we could get them and then decide which units they're going to go in. And some of them wouldn't be installed. Like if we bought them now, we're waiting for the new unit to come in. It wouldn't be installed right away. So that was the part of the main reason to keep that out of it currently. And we actually may try to do the installation ourselves to keep down the price.
Do we have people qualified for that type of work?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. I believe that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ma'am, any further questions for Director Sweet, Director Vickery, or any other questions for items 0 through 17? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. Robbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, Commissioner Val.
Aye.
Next is appropriations transfers for the school department. It's 18 through 21, and a couple of these are really long budget amendments, so. Seeking approval.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves for approval of items 18 through 21. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Robbie, what are these for? One more time.
19 through 21 are for 2% employee raises for the school department. From your Board of Education approved a 2% retroactive to January 1st, 2021 for the school employees. So that's what they're moving funds around to place the money for the wage increases.
Is anyone with the school department on with us today? Director Parrott? Dr. Parrott didn't know. Ms. Minton, Ms. Julie Minton, are you on with us? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Commissioner White, go ahead, sir.
141-34690, decrease committed for COVID, $837,000. That seemed like a lot of money. I don't, was that a grant? Was that,
The best I can, yes, it would have been a COVID grant,
okay, and that's, could be used for anything?
and especially for salaries, yes. They probably, I know for the general fund, when we, and Randy can speak to this better than me, but when we use sheriff and EMS salaries to get our COVID money. So, yes.
Any further discussion? Here,
How they're gonna fund it next year? I mean, this has got to be one-time money. Using for a raise.
Yes. I haven't asked that question to the school department, but my best guess is through sales tax, because last year they had a $2 million increase in their sales tax, which this budget amendment for the raise is $1,084,046, but that's, I would say through sales tax and property taxes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
any further discussion?
Commissioner Shane,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner Creasy.
Chairman. Right, since there's no one from the school department, would it be best to postpone any vote on this until they're available?
Commissioner Creasy, I've just shot Dr. Parrott a text to try to get in touch with him and get someone on the call for you all.
All right,
I'd like to know how the other commissioners feel about that. It would seem these are large figures, and it seems that should have enough importance for everybody to be at the meeting.
if it would be okay with the maker of the motion and the seconder of the motion, if we can go ahead and hold off on this vote and go through the rest of the agenda, maybe give Dr. Parrott or one of them time enough to join us. That'd be all right with everybody?
It's okay with me.
Sounds like a very good idea.
All right, then.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll let, okay. All right. All right, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Parrott said he was in a meeting and he is running over to be there live in person right now.
Wonderful. We won't wear him out by being out of breath when he gets here, so we'll continue on with the agenda. Give him time to catch his breath when he gets here. Go ahead, Robert.
Okay, number 22 is an appropriation from the county clerk, increasing business tax $55,200 and increasing data processing supplies $35.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner White. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Waddell. Any discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
All right. The next one is an appropriation from animal control and animal shelter. It's increasing rabies, animal control contracted services, $4,000 out of donations.
Commissioner
Second.
Fritz moves to approve. Second by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll,
Okay,
please.
Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have an appropriation from grants, Randy Walters, for the CDBG Waterline Project. This is the matching funds that Anderson County Water Authority is paying the county, and we're putting them in the budget. So it's $107,163 from Anderson County, increasing those projects.
Commissioner Waddell makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next up is the Sheriff's Department. It's an appropriation for $44,000, decreasing restricted funds for courthouse security by commission and increasing law enforcement equipment. This amount will cover the costs for TI training, firearm simulator. He also sent each budget committee member a separate email about this also.
Move to approve?
Commissioner
Second,
Dennenberg makes a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Fritz. Is that right? That you,
I
Chuck? Commissioner Smallridge.
maybe Commissioner Fritz beat me to the punch.
Okay. Both of you being fine folks, we'll take it. Either way, any discussion?
Yeah,
I have a question.
Commissioner Dennenberg, go ahead, ma'am.
I understand that two of the officers went to, I believe it was Cookville, Putnam County, to observe and were very impressed with the equipment. My question is, will we be getting a demonstration when it is on site and installed?
Mr. Chairman Tyler, I'm on here.
Director Mays, go ahead, sir.
Yes, Commissioner Denmark, we can definitely make that happen. And if you'd like, I could get maybe you and the sheriff together and you all do the demonstration first.
You're funny, Tyler. He has to be the bad guy, though.
Always.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any further questions for Director Mays?
I just have a comment. You know, when you see what's going on with the George Floyd trial and the question of judgment and lack of judgment comes into play, I think a program like this is critical. I think we really have to train our people very carefully, and this looks like a great program to do that. So I'm very strongly in favor of this program.
Thank you, Commissioner Smallridge. Any further questions for Director Mays? Any questions, comments on the motion at all? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll. I'm sorry, was there someone wanting to ask something?
I just said good motion. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I agree. I concur with Commissioner Smallridge, 100%.
Yes, sir. Call the roll, Robbie.
Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Greasy,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
If you want to take that.
Commissioners, if it's all right, let's go back to 18 through 21. Dr. Parrott's joined us. He doesn't look like he's out of breath too much from coming up the stairs. Okay. Is his mic on? There we go.
Sorry about that. I said I had a parent in my office right at 4 o'clock and I didn't think that was going to last that long, but that when you walk out to come to a budget meeting, a parent's sitting there, you need to take care of it. So,
We understand. Director Parrott, Dr. Parrott, to bring you up to speed, we got a motion on the floor in a second to approve appropriations 18 through 21. And we have some commissioners that have some questions on that. And
Okay.
if we are correct, that is involving a 2% pay increase for
Yes.
employees of the school department.
yeah, that's for everybody. That's a pay raise for everybody, all employees, classified and certified. Yes. And there's actually some other places in there that every year when people we usually do this amendment at the end of the year to where it's like 14 pages long because people have got degrees and stuff like that over the years. And we've hired people in and had more people come out. So we just done it early this year to try to take care of some of that.
Any questions for Dr. Parrott? Commissioner White, go ahead, sir.
Dr. Parrott, my concern was with the, let me get my glasses where I can see where I'm at. Up the top of the page, 141-34690, committed for COVID, 837,000. I can see that's a grant, correct? That's
No, that's actually money that we put out of fund balance into that to hold a place for that. We didn't know how much money we'd need for that this year, so that's where that is. That's actually coming out of our fund balance.
Okay, and my question was then, the 2% raise that's going to fund this year, how are you going to fund it next year?
That comes out of, it's in our budget next year. It comes from, the money, we don't really know, still, we don't know how much we're going to get from the state for that 4% raise. There's a 4% pay raise in our budget for next year. And through our property tax and sales tax and the money we get from the state, we will fund that with recurring money. That makes sense?
It makes sense. It just seems like we're in almost a dilemma and nationwide and unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, 6% would be great. I mean, that's good.
No, we're
2% this year and 4% next.
No, it's the 2% raise that we give this year. We had to do that. That was one of those unfunded mandates from the state. And what they did is they gave us money only for certified teachers. Okay. So that means all of our classified employees, custodians, everybody like that, they didn't give us any money for the raise. So the board approved to give everybody a raise. So that's why we had to take money out of the fund balance, because you can't change you didn't want to change the budget during the year to take money out of, like change it from offset our money from property tax and sales tax. So next year going forward, that raise was just for this year. It was just for 6 months. So next year going forward, it will be a 4% raise. And that's something that's in the governor's budget. So again, what they would do is they only fund part of it. So we would have to fund everything else.
Okay, good, very good.
Does that
Thank
make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we figure the offset will be about 600,000 out of the regular budget that will take us to make that complete 4% raise.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just to clarify then, you're doing 2% this year and 2% next year,
Well,
or that's what your goal is?
that is what the goal is, but what it is evidently the state can't change their budget during the year. They can't make things go over. They can't give a raise during the middle of the year. They just had to give one-time money. So what had happened is some school systems give a one-time bonus. And what our board wanted to do was go ahead and back that up and give a 2% raise from January on. Yes. And then next year it will be a total 4% and it will be recurring.
Okay, because I know this board has stated several times that they didn't want to do something for county employees that they couldn't do for school teachers. So I think we need to be thoughtful of that moving forward, that if the school teachers are getting 4% over the next 2 years, we need to look at doing, for our employees also.
And as a director of school, I would never want to give a teacher a raise and not give that custodian or that cafeteria worker or somebody else. They deserve that money just like everybody else. And the board, that's from the board. So I agree.
Commissioner Fritz, go ahead, sir.
Dr. Parrott,
Yes.
if I'm to make sure everyone understands that the budget you are presenting is a balanced budget. So this will not cause any tax increase or anything like that. So what you're doing now, even though you're taking it out of the fund balance, you are presenting a balanced budget, so that is covered for next year.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the board is actually voting on the budget tonight, and it is a balanced budget with a 4% raise in there. Also, one of the things, just kind of let you know, next month we'll be coming back and we will be taking $1 million more out of fund balance. We will go ahead and pay some debt service early. Julie and Robbie's been doing a great job trying to work on that. So trying to get some of that debt service out of the way.
Any more questions for Dr. Parrott?
Again, I apologize for being
That's all
late.
right. Kind of echoing what Commissioner Waddell was saying. Those of us who remember last year when we were debating on pay raises for employees, we did have some commissioners that had a concern about all county employees getting that raise, and rightfully so. I respect any department head who has that concern for their employees. But echoing what Commissioner Waddell said, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I do think we need to remind ourselves going forward, the school department's pay raises, I'm assuming the way Dr. Parrott just explained it, is also tied into what the state says and what the state funds. So there may be some years, I guess, that they would get raises that general fund road department employees may not get. And then there's some years where it may be vice versa. So just keep that in mind. It may behoove us to look at those separately in the near future, I guess would be my thoughts on that. Thank you, Dr. Perry. Any further questions? We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I just want to
Go ahead,
thank
sir.
Dr. Parrott for taking the time to help us understand what we were voting on.
Yes,
Thank
sir. Yes, sir. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye. Thank you, Dr. Perry.
All right, next up is from solid waste appropriation number 26 for $20,000 out of the restricted for public health and welfare, increasing recycling centers 5,000 and other waste disposal 15,000.
What number was that again, please?
Number 26.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Commissioner White moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Waddell. Any discussion? Hearing none. Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
All right, the next one is from the Highway Department, Gary Long. It's appropriation number 27, increasing asphalt 300,000 from restricted.
Commissioner Waddell makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second? I'll second that. Any discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Denenberg, go ahead, ma'am.
Is Superintendent Long in the hallway or in the room?
He is in the courtroom.
I just want to thank him for his very concise and direct issuing of his request. It's very clear and concise. Thank you very much.
As long as we understand it, that's fine. We appreciate you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Robbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Creasy,
Creasy, vote aye.
Smallridge,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Waddell, Jameson, White, and Val.
Aye. Pave him roads, Gary.
Okay, numbers 28 and 29 are from the conservation, from Ben Taylor. The first one is increasing revenue, $1,300, and increasing conservation commission rentals, $1,300. And the second one is increasing guard pay by $2,000 and decreasing maintenance personnel by $2,000.
Approve as a group?
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve as a group. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Creasy. Any discussion? Hearing none. Robbie, call the roll, please.
All right, Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Aye. Creasy,
Commissioner
vote aye.
Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
Okay, and the last budget amendment we have is a transfer through payroll from Fleet Services. It's for $16,112.43. We actually do this every year, and next year we're putting it in the budget at the beginning of the year, so we don't have to make this budget amendment, but it's to increase his mechanics, other salaries and wages, Social Security, retirement, and employee Medicare.
Move for approval.
Commissioner White moves to approve, second by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Tracy votes aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Val.
Aye.
Okay. Let me go on to the budget part.
Moving on, commissioners, now we're going to be talking about the 21-22 proposed budgets. That's under Section A. Robbie, go ahead.
Okay, so on the March 18th, we met and we went over any budgets that were not turned in, didn't meet the guidelines, and all those were approved. So what I'm looking for this week is we need to accept or reject any county budgets and other funds. If you look at page 1 of Section A, it's a summary of the all budgets with no increase. And page 2 is budget 2 with the $1,000 raise. And most of those budgets are really in good shape. I mean, EMS even has a $6,000 deficit, but they can handle that with their fund balance, and the highway also with $13,000 deficit. But and then the third page starts breaking down the budgets by each individual department. So if y'all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But what's next on the calendar is to approve or reject the general fund, library, solid waste, EMS, drug control, Channel 95, tourism, and highway budgets, along with general capital projects and educational capital projects.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we voting on either Section A, the first one, or the second page? Are they different to the
They
point
are.
that they need to be separated out?
Yes, you asked for 2
That's what I
budgets,
thought.
so we've presented 2. And even in the third page, it has proposed budget 1 by department and proposed 2. General fund is in really good shape with either budget. I mean, I would recommend, I think we're in really good shape to do the $1,000 raises. And I also could bring back, you could approve the budgets as is and not reject them. That means that we have going forward working budgets, but we could also I could bring back some ideas next month for if you wanted to increase employee salaries even more. I could do a 3% or a 4% raise just to show you what that looks like. I think it's a good opportunity to move a couple of pennies to the 171 fund so we could start funding capital project needs and instead of flying by the seat of our pants, so to speak, each year with rollover money or a governor's grant. But I'll have more ideas on that. But this week, we were just looking to approve. I just need a motion to approve these budgets or reject them. And we reject them, we're back to the drawing board.
Well, then I'll make a motion to accept the budgets as presented.
You budget 1 or 2? The one with the
2.
increase? Okay.
2.
All right, motion is made by Commissioner Denenberg to approve budget 2, which does include the $1,000 pay increase for general fund employees. Is that correct?
Yes, and all employees.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All employees, all right.
So
For a point of order, under advisement of the law director, myself and Commissioner Waddell will have to abstain for cause on this vote. Commissioners, just so you know, that brings the vote count down to 6, which means a majority to pass will have to be 4 instead of 5, which is the same thing that we done last year. So we do have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I just have a suggestion.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge.
That
Go
we
ahead,
do
Robert.
general fund 101, and then you
then we can vote
You
on the
can
rest
vote on
of
the
them.
rest of them.
Commissioner Denenberg, would you please amend your motion, ma'am, to include just the general 101 so that Commissioner Waddell and I can vote on the rest of the budgets, please?
I'll be glad to do that very thing.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Smallridge, is that okay with your second, sir?
Yes, it is.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg?
I believe Chuck, Commissioner Fritz had a question. He had his hand up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
Before we get going with all the budgets and everything, also when we talk about even doing the employee raises, we made a comment that was looking at the capital projects and things of that nature. I seriously would like this budget committee to look at, what is truly capital projects and what is not, and look at maybe putting the sheriff's department, police cars, and the EMS ambulances back into the operating budgets where they used to be at one time, because those items are not truly capital projects, and they are a part of the operating funds, and they need to be funded on a yearly basis. And if we can get to that point where we can do that, I think this county would be better off when we get a true picture of what our capital needs are every year, without the police cars and ambulances being a part of it every year.
I agree, Commissioner Fritz, and we have the potential to do that this year with the money that we have in surplus in the budget right now. So that is something we can certainly discuss today or next meeting. I can come back with what the costs for each of those would be to include in their budget. EMS would probably require shifting a penny or two to their budget to cover cost of their ambulances, but the money in the general fund is already there.
I know several years ago, until we had a really bad budget hurt, we constantly funded the ambulances and the police cars every single year as a part of the operating budget. And I'd like to see if maybe get back to that point where we are there and we don't have to worry about this every single year. And the sheriff's department and the EMS can count on that every single year and start looking towards that every single year.
Yes, sir. Any further discussion on the motion?
One other question, please, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
By voting as we're about to do, will that not still leave the door open for next month for Robbie to come back to us and let us discuss exactly what Commissioner Fritz was talking about and other avenues that we may need to really look hard at going forward?
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please. Yes, this is for ours that we need to abstain.
So Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Creasy votes aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Jameson, and Commissioner White.
Motion passes. Now, the rest of them, Robbie, if you would,
All would read them all.
name them off, please.
Okay, Fund 115 Library Fund, Fund 116 Solid Waste, Fund 118 EMS, Fund 122 Drug Control Fund, 127 Channel 95 Fund, 128 Tourism Fund, 131 Highway Public Works Fund, and 171 General Capital Projects Fund, and 177 Educational Capital Projects Fund.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve, second by Commissioner Fritz.
So just to be clear, budget 2 also.
Budget 2.
Yes.
What does that leave us that we have not approved at this point?
After this, none of the school funds, because their budgets will come to us, I think, next month. And 151 General Debt Service Fund and 152 Rural School Debt Service Fund, 156 High School Debt Service, which I'll have those ready next month. And then the 263 fund, the benefit plan fund, we are ready. We will have that next month also. We just, with the Board of Trustees being later in the month, in March, we weren't quite ready to do it but we will have that. There's really no increases in that fund, so it should be pretty easy to do also.
Very good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Tracy votes aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, Commissioner Val.
Val votes aye.
Okay. And just for information purposes, and the reason I put this in there, and Commissioner Fritz talked about this earlier, I've included the 5-year capital outlay for the general fund, EMS, Anderson County Highway Department, and solid waste. And giving you kind of a total at the bottom of what their imperative needs would be, the cost. So just so you have some kind of information there. We will be in better shape this year to pay for some of these things because of some of the grants we're supposedly getting, hopefully. But I just wanted y'all to be able to see that, and a little earlier this year than sometimes we've waited till after budget season to discuss capital outlay, but it could be a part of this year's budget discussion. So I thought it was important to get it out there earlier. So anyway, next month we'll have
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Fritz, go ahead, sir.
If you look at that list, and if you see if we could get to the point to where we can actually start funding the patrol cars and the ambulances and everything, and you would subtract that from the total of what the total capital outlay is right now, what we have to look at with capital outlay is very minimal. And so our true picture that we're looking at would be very small for this coming year, maybe the next year, unless we have something big come up. And so that would be a very big step in the right direction if we could eventually work it that way. That we're who knows, we could maybe start building up a fund to where we could increase the needs, capital outlay needs fund in the future. So I think that'd be a big step forward if we could accomplish this.
Commissioner Fritz, I got a question. Maybe you can answer it. If I recall correctly, and I wasn't on commission at the time, used to, that's the way it was done. The patrol cars was included in the sheriff's budget. Ambulances were included in EMS's budget. Do you recall a specific reason, maybe why we switched it and made all that capital purchases from a separate code?
Because we started having a bad budget crunch, and that's the way to save money. They started using that money to fund the budget instead of that, quit buying the cars.
Okay. So I'm assuming department heads may prefer the old way that you're suggesting, do you think?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the sheriff department, they would be tickled to death because that way they could not wait until the cars are gone and not looked over and got picked over and stuff. Where they could go ahead and plan and start looking for them way in advance and know what they're getting way in advance. So I know I've talked to several people in the sheriff's department already about this, and they would be tickled to death knowing that they could start planning for this in the future.
All right, sir. Any further questions on the capital list?
I just, following up what Commissioner Denenberg said, I'd like a little more discussion on Chuck's suggestion here. I'm not sure I fully understand the advantages and disadvantages. So maybe our next meeting, we could discuss some of that. The other thing, Robbie, am I right? You're going to look at some scenarios if we were able to give additional salary increases beyond the $1,000 that we just approved. If you could bring that back.
I will do that, yes. And I will have the more discussion about the far as the vehicles and the ambulance EMS and putting that in the budget, what that will cost and what it will look like if we did that. So,
Any further questions on those issues?
and I also will have an updated property assessment. We've kind of been stuck on the one that I first got in March, but we are going to see some more increases in the property tax because of this. The assessment's not quite ready yet, and they're loading personal property now, and Johnny thinks that will be ready any day. So I should have that next month. We might have a little more revenue by then too.
Any further questions on that? Hearing none, moving on to new business.
Okay, in new business, there was one budget amendment that we didn't quite get in time for the, on Monday. I don't know if y'all remember this, but we used to do the budget agenda, it used to be 2:00 Tuesday, but Commissioner Scott wanted us to change it to Monday at 2:00, so we did that, but it makes it really difficult to get the full, the full agenda done. Normally, I don't even send it to you guys till later in the day on Monday, but sometimes we get a few stragglers in after the deadline, and I've been taking them because we have, it's not been that many months since we changed that rule. So, and and we've been adding new business and old business to the agenda, so that covers us there. So I think that as long as we discuss it in the committee level, it doesn't hurt at all. So, but this one's from the senior center. It's actually a COVID grant for $20,217, increasing cleaning and sanitation supplies, $1,500. Other supplies and materials, $15,017. Food preparation supplies, $1,200, and non-perishable foods, emergency assistance, $2,500. It's money that they're receiving for a grant that they have to spend first, so we need to get it in the budget so they can spend it this year, and then they will get to receive them.
Commissioner Waddell moves to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Commissioner White, go ahead, sir.
COVID grant, but I see the cleaning and sanitation supplies is just 1,500, but other supplies and materials, 15,000. I just curious, it seemed like that would be the other way around.
I know plexiglass has went up quite a bit, if you can even find it. Maybe the mayor or Director Phillips is online with us and could answer that.
Yes, they can. And first of all, thank you for allowing this to be discussed today. It was actually a drop ball on my end. Randy did help us with the budget amendment, Randy in finance, and I knew I couldn't be here Monday. We got it done Thursday, but it fell through the cracks on actually physically getting it into the finance office. So I apologize. Commissioner White, this has to be, any expenditure has to be approved by the Tennessee Office on Aging and Disability, so they can purchase some equipment. But all of that, again, will have to it gets approved at the aging and disability level. So they can't go out and buy decorations or anything like that. It all has to be approved by the state.
That answer your question, Commissioner White? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll, please.
Hey, Commissioner Denenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Creasy votes aye.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz.
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell. Commissioner Jameson. Commissioner White. And Commissioner Val.
Aye.
Thank you.
Is that all new business? And old business? Any old business come before the committee? Hearing none, if there's no more business
Yes,
come.
Commissioner Val,
Mayor, go ahead.
yes, at the last meeting, I had presented a proposal for fire response, and so that was supposed to come back to be, I guess, Commissioner Waddell was going to, I pulled it off in order for him to have some conversations. So I did want to put that back on there under old business.
Okay.
Well, I spoke to several fire chiefs, 3 fire chiefs out of the 5, and one, which Medford, they don't have a current fire chief, so I spoke to them also. And I spoke to several board members, and I think we have some people here that would possibly want to speak on this, but the general consensus from everyone that I spoke to was they're not opposed to this at all, but they're not ready to take the step to do it yet. They would still like some time to discuss with EMA, with the mayor, on what this is going to look like. So, like I said, everybody was very appreciative. They liked the idea so far, but they're not ready to act on it. So I make the motion that we send it back to the fire committee. I guess maybe that'd be the appropriate place to let everybody talk about it and get their, I definitely would like to have the fire chief's approval, since it's going to be directly for their favor. They also spoke that, you know, they have a lot of needs right now. And if we have money, we're willing to get to the fire departments to help them because of COVID, because they're not able to have their chili suppers. So they're missing a lot of income. So, you know, they need gear, they need fire packs, they need other stuff that is a little bit higher up on the priority list for them right now.
So we have a motion on the floor to send it back to the fire commission. Do we have a
I'll second that motion. And I
Commissioner
also,
Denenberg seconds.
and I also want to interject that I was very surprised. I had several calls myself on this particular issue. Evidently, the scuttlebutt had gotten around that it might come back up at budget. And I was certainly asked to do what may need to be done to get this to go back to fire commission. So evidently they're wanting to have more discussion about the issue. So that's the reason I will firmly second this motion.
Yes, ma'am. Any further discussion?
Yes, is Steve Payne there?
He is in the courtroom. Come on up, Steve.
And I do, and I'm fine with sending it back, but I really do believe that we as a county need to, you know, push forward. If it doesn't pass, that's fine. If it goes back, but I would like Steve to talk about what the benefits that are direct benefits to the citizens. And I understand the volunteer fire departments do need cash, especially in light of COVID. And I've been somebody who goes to all of the chili suppers if I'm in town and available, and I donate annually. And I just would like to see us really take a hold of this as an opportunity that is something that guarantees paid personnel in a supportive function, and that directly benefits the citizens, ensures that there are never, you know, occasions of no response. And if Steve could speak a little bit on it, just how this, you know, how this would work and what it would look like, because I do think it has merit for the commission and the county to advance in this way. But Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
When this came up to me, it was an issue because there's very little to no volunteer firefighters available during the day. Everybody's working. Okay. And it was presented, could we hire some part-time people, run them under EMA, not taking over the fire service, they're still their own identity, and be a support unit for anything that might happen in the county between the hours of 6 a.m. and say 4 or 5 p.m. That was it. One piece of equipment, 2 men on a truck. That's what we had been discussing. And to not take any identity away from any volunteer department. We would be totally the backup. If they don't have people, we're going to go, we would go irregardless. They're on the scene, they're in charge. They're people. were there to help. And that was a guaranteed 2 people. We drug up some numbers, and I don't have them anyway, but with me through dispatch. When dispatch dispatches a call out, they're waiting on somebody to respond. There's been many times that nobody responded back, that they were going. Then they would dispatch it again. Then they have to go outside the county or call municipal help if it's available to back that up. That's the only reason this was ever brought up. We're not taking over the fire service. We don't want to take over the fire service. I've been in the fire service 40 years, and it's not something you can take over. This is just literally a backup to be ran by trained professional firefighters that have all the qualifications to go in any municipality in the state. Work. That we weren't trying to take any kind of power away from any of the volunteers at all. And we can run the numbers. I can get you the numbers on how many times somebody's not come. So it was a concern back then. I'm sure it's still a concern now. I've not run them since then.
Thank you, Director Payne. Any further discussion? Motion on the floor is to send it back to the Fire Commission. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Creasy, go ahead, sir.
yeah, I'd like to commend Mr. Waddle to his effort in investigating this and speaking to the chiefs, and also commended the mayor and Payne at our last meeting. I think we got some good discussions, some good ideas, and I think if the fire chiefs and the mayor and Chief Payne all work together, I think that we can come out with a pretty good solution for this need. I commend all of you for taking this effort and moving forward with it, and especially the mayor's leadership. I think that we're doing real well, and we are going to offer the citizens better, safe conditions and fire protection and emergency help and health help. And I think it's a very positive discussion, and we got positive results will come from it. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Robbie, call the roll.
Berg,
Aye.
Commissioner Creasy,
Tracy votes aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell, Commissioner Jameson, Commissioner White, Commissioner Val.
Aye. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, just looking at the budget schedule for the next meeting, April 23rd, Dr. Parrott and the schools are going to submit their proposed budget to the finance director. I will distribute the school's proposed budget to the budget committee by April 27th. May 6th, which is our next scheduled budget meeting, we will review the school's proposed budget and vote to approve or reject. I will have the other requests that you had ready for that budget committee meeting, and hopefully the 263 fund and the debt service funds ready to approve or reject by May 6th. Okay, that's what we have next.
So, Robbie, do you think that we will be able to present the entire budget to the full commission at the June meeting?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The state really encourages us and to have budgets passed by June 30th if possible. We haven't done that the last 2 years. We would have probably done it last year if it wasn't for a reappraisal year, but I really think we could do that this year. And only like 4 or 5 counties in the state had that done last year. But we want to make us one of those. So, if we can. But anyway, that's what's next on the schedule.
Thank you, Robbie. Any further business come before the committee? Hearing none, we are adjourned.